this course, I'll be sharing some techniques that you could use to mix tech house drums, to process them in a way that's effective, interesting, and really, really powerful. So let's waste no time and let's jump right in. Enjoy this course. Let's go. So before we start, let's have a listen to the before and after. The before has no additional processing applied on the drums. So these are the production stems, and the after is after all the techniques we have implemented from this course, and the difference is pretty amazing. Let's take a listen to the before and after. So the drums almost sound completely different. They are actually exactly the same sounds, and the processing is the only difference between the before and after. It's really amazing. It always needs to make you want to move in these type of tracks. We're gonna build it up from the start, and I'm gonna take you along and share with you everything that I did to bring out all the goodness in the drums. Let's first talk about leveling. Things as the clap and the hi-hat are really important to be leveled exactly right. If the clap is nice and loud, it, works further as well, and it will hit the compressor on the mastering, and it's just very good for the groove, for the tightness of the track. The hi-hat, on the other hand, absolutely needs to be present, but if it's too loud, it can be harsh and it can really cause problems as well. So nothing crazy here. What I've did is decrease the hi-hat by 0.5 dB and increase the clap by 1 dB. Let's listen to before and after increasing it. It's really subtle, but it's really important because this is really about small steps. If you knew all these little steps, eventually the whole drum bass will come to life, sound epic and slamming, and that's what we want, and that's what we're going to do in this course. Then let's go over the hi-hat processing. It's very simple on the channel itself. It's only an EQ, and what I did is cut out some unneeded sub-frequencies, and I dealt with a ringing point around this frequency. Is dynamic EQ, so I'll show you what it does. Really subtle, but really important. These things really add up in the end. Next up, percussion. What I've done here is take the vitamin. This is a really cool dynamic EQ by Waves, and what it does, it really adds some emphasis on the mid and high mids. I will play it for you and bypass the plugin. And then this is really a combination, and I highly advise you to come up with your own combinations of processes that you feel are really complementing each other. Here what I did is use dynamic EQ into saturation, and the saturation is set up like this. I am only saturating this band. So from about 100 to about 2.5K. I will solo the band for you now so you can hear the band that I am applying harmonics to with Saturn 2. And then what I did is use it in mid-side and really push it almost all the way to the mids. So this way the harmonics get only applied on the mid signal. Mostly. It's not 100% to the mids, but it's almost 100% to the mids. This way it makes it hit you more in the face. Is super upfront, it's super, you know, centered, and this is really dope. Let me play it with the kick and the hi-hat that we just mixed, and then you can really hear that this smacks. Yeah, I love that. Love how the snare hits you as well. Super dirty. The way I use it is heavy saturation in parallel. Lots of drive and a boost in the mids. This just brings out so much dirt and really beefs it up. Then let's go into the clap. The clap without processing sounds like this. With processing, you can hear it's a bit wider. What I did is push the entire sample with mode 2 of the Ozone exciter. Mode 1 is utilizing the Haas effect, which means that it's copying the mid channel and injects it into the side channel. So it's really like using delay. Mode 2 is actually creating via super complex noise impulse creator, creating harmonics. So it's sounding a bit less phasey, and I think it's really a high quality way of increasing stereo image. Then on the EQ, I did this. I will explain this. What I did is really emphasize a lot of the clap, and I cut out some unnecessary subs. I did this as well on the mids, and on the mids I boosted some presence. So this creates a really quite interesting difference between the sides and the mid signal. If I deactivate the Pro-Q, you can really tell that the stereo image gets a lot less exciting without the EQ. Check it out. So yeah, super dope, super powerful. Mid-side EQ is one of the most powerful tools really we have, and it's important to listen to the sides only, listen to the mids only, so you can really clearly tell what's going on. But don't forget to listen to the entire stereo image as well, because if you listen to the stereo signal, then you eventually can tell if it sounds good. And yes, you can be really specific with monitoring only the sides or the mids. But in the end, the person that will listen to the track on Spotify doesn't hear that. So it's really important to keep that perspective. Then let's go into the shakers. They get really beefed up, and I applied a really subtle panning as well. I will play it before and after panning. super subtle, but it's really important because it creates some kind of more interesting stereo image. And I do tend to not really pan a lot, but in case that you got two sounds that are very similar, it can yield really incredible results, because it's simple. If you have the same type of sound and you play it all in the center, then yeah, it's very likely that it will conflict. If you just pan it a little bit, it can make way for each other and increase your stereo image. Then saturation. I use the Ozone exciter in triode mode a lot when my goal is to make the sound different. So if I just want to highlight the sound, I tend to go for the Saturn 2. If I want to beef up the sound, I tend to go for Ozone exciter. I will before and after it for you, so you can hear that it really dirties up the shakers, and as well you will see that I've grouped the top loop and the shakers because that's on purpose. I want to give these elements the same treatment so that they sound more like a whole. And this is amazing to achieve with bus processing. So that's why they are going through the same bus. You can really hear it, they sound a lot dirtier. But after this one, I've put the Kramer tape on the mastering soft clean compression preset. This preset is really incredible because it's a way of really effectively dirtying up a sound, and on shakers it works amazing. Let me just before and after both plugins for you and the Kramer tape. Sounds way better with these two plugins applied. So before going into the bus processing, let's have a quick listen and see where we are at right now. So it's already sounding cool. But what I did to achieve even more space and excitement, I've created two buses here, A and B. Let me activate them and play with the before and after. It's pretty cool. It's very subtle, but the biggest reason subtleties are important is because they add up in the end. They can turn a track into sounding 5 times better if you combine it together. So let's first go over the first bus. I created a plate reverb, not extremely short decay time, a pre-delay time that felt really good with this groove, then an interesting curve to not really have the super high end and the mids and the lows, a lot of presence here, and then I'm using a gate with a sidechain from the clap to open it up only when the clap plays. Then what I did is send a bit of the entire drums to this bus. so it only plays when the clap hits, because the clap triggers the gate. So I can play it for you, and you will see here on the gate when it's open. When this orange thing is all the way down, it's closed to minus 41.1. And it's very subtle, so let me just turn it up a bit so you can hear what it does. Sounds dope. I love it, and it's subtle but powerful. Then the second bus I only use to send a bit of the clap to. What I do is have a delay. This delay is pretty extreme, but it only plays at a low volume, and it's sidechained to the clap. It's not a gate, so this one ducks when the clap plays. This way, it's not interfering with the clap. If it would interfere, the risk is that the clap isn't hitting as hard as we want. Let's solo it and see what it does. So super dope, super subtle. I think no one will really listen to this and say, whoa, that clap definitely has a cool delay bus with some sidechain going on. But as a mixing and mastering engineer doing EDM mixing and mastering here every day, this type of processing is what gets me hyped all the time, because it just really is powerful and effective if you are working especially with tech house, because in tech house drums are so important and they really need to groove and feel super full. Now, exciting, we're going into the bus processing. We're starting with the glue compressor. This is really powerful. I have dialed in 60%, 4:1 ratio, 0.1 release, 0.10 attack, and I'm adding about 8 dB of makeup gain, and this with P-clip, so it adds some color too, and this is really powerful. Let me A/B it. So makes it slam so hard, is really dope. Then going into the StandardCLIP, what I do here is add some saturation. We talked about saturation earlier, and then I talked about the difference for me between the Exciter and the FabFilter Saturn. Well, StandardCLIP is a saturator as well that falls into the category Saturn for me, because it's really clean saturation. It really doesn't change the vibe of a sound, but it creates harmonics in a way that it sounds fuller and yeah, really makes it hit harder. Let me overdo it and you will see what I mean. I'm also clipping a little bit of the tops off, and this is just an overall vision that I have when mixing and mastering. You don't want to let the end limiter fix all your problems regarding, you know, RMS level and all that stuff. You want to be prepared for that. So you want to have tight drums, you know, a tight kick, tight bass. The vocal doesn't need to like hit super high at some point and super low at another point. It all needs to be controlled so you can move forward and get an amazing result in the end. Then after that I used Neutron from 4.1k and up because this sounded like the most harsh region. I'm dialing back on the attack and it's in parallel. Only 15% was needed to achieve the result that I wanted. I will before and after only this band for you, and I will play it in the overall so you can hear what's going on. Again, control the important things. This is important because it makes the top end a bit more smooth and gets the harsh transients to sound a little bit more warm and less aggressive. It's important. Then, to finalize the drum bus, I have used mid-side EQ, boosting a bit of the body of the drums. And there we have it. We made tech house drums sound from this to sounding like this. Love mixing drums. They are very important in this genre. Hope that you all enjoyed this course. Absolutely love sharing this with you. See you in the next one and have a good mixing session. Bye bye.